जय श्री माता जी। श्रीमद् देवी भागवत. If you want to know who Adi Shakti is, read Devi Bhagawat, read by Her Holiness Shri Mataji Nirmala Devi. Sankalpam. Mama Atmanah Sahajayogi Kutumbanam Atmonnati Prityartham Moksha Prapti Prityartham Sakshat Shri Adi Shakti Mataji Shri Nirmala Devyai Pujanam Kariche. The Holy Recital of Srimad Devi Bhagavat.
Chapter 10, Episode 1. The creation of Swayambhuv Manu, his worship of Bhagavati and receiving a boon. Naradji said, O Bhagwan Narayan, you who are always eager to help, accept my pranams. Please tell me about the various eras in which the Devi manifested, the various forms that the goddess Maheshwari took, and the events and situations that took place. I also desired to know all the details of the ways in which she was worshipped, what pleased her, and what boons Devi Vatsala bestowed on her bhaktas. Please describe all these things to me. Bhagwan Narayan said, Maharishi, listen to Devi Mahatmya, the magnificence of the Devi which destroys all evil. It also awakens within the listener great waves Shraddha, reverence, and endows wealth and well-being. The first to manifest was cause of the universe, the father of creation, Sri Brahmadev, out of the Nabhi, lotus, of Lord of the discus, God of gods, Sri Hari. O great soul, Sri Brahmaji was endowed with 4 lustrous faces. Out of his desire power, he created Swayambhuv Manu, created out of the mind. Then, from his mind, he created Dharm Swarupini Shatrupa and gave her to Manu as a wife. At that time, Manuji went to the holy shores of Kshir Sagar, ocean of milk, to worship the Devi. He installed the Devi on lotuses and worshipped her with eloquent mantras. He did not eat, he had all his senses in control, and he observed all the protocols of worship. Then he stood on one leg and meditated, completely conquering anger and lust. He stood immovable and stationary, meditating on the lotus feet of Devi Jagdamba for a full 100 years. Devi Jaganmai Jagdamba was pleased and appeared before him. The Devi spoke in beautiful tones. Rajan, ask for a boon which is very rare and unique and which would greatly benefit the gods. Swayambhuv Manu said, O Devi with large beautiful eyes, praise be to you. O you who reign over the hearts of all living beings, praise be to you. You who support the universe, you who are auspiciousness in all auspicious things, I worship you. Just by the movement of your eyebrows, Brahma goes into creation mode, Bhagwan Vishnu goes into preservation mode, and Rudra goes into destruction mode. It is by your appointment that Indra rules Triloki. At your command, Yamraj takes his staff and chastises beings. Varun presides over all marine life, and Kuber controls the wealth of the universe. Agni, Nairit, southern quarter, Vayu, Ishan, and Seshnag are all parts of you, and our Shakti pervades them. O Devi, if you are pleased with me, and wish to give me a boon, then this is my humble prayer. O Shive, it is my sincere desire that there should be no obstacles or negativities to interfere with the process of creation. Whoever expresses this desire should also get instant fulfillment. O Devi, whoever listens to this narration should get liberation. All those who narrate this should be blessed with eloquence and effectiveness. May he get enlightenment, become a karma yogi, and be blessed with children and grandchildren. This is my prayer. Chapter 10, Episodes 2 to 7. Devi Bhagawati goes to the Vindhya mountain. Narada describes the greatness of Sumeru to Vindhya, who then tries to put an obstacle in the path of the sun. Sri Devi said, Bhumipal, protector of the world, O powerful one, O king, I grant all your prayers. It is my nature to destroy the principal Daityas. My Shakti never fails. The Vagbhav mantra that you have chanted and meditated upon has greatly pleased me. Your kingdom will be indestructible. You will have many sons to increase your clan. But you will have deep and unwavering bhakti in me, and in the end you will attain Parampad, a place near my lotus feet. After bestowing these boons on Swayambhuv Manu, the Devi removed herself from his sight and retired to the Vindhya mountains. This is the same Vindhya who began to grow and expand in an effort to reach the sky and restrain the movement of the sun till Agastya ji came and stopped him. Munivar, the Devi who gave the boon is verily Bhagavati Vindhyavasini, the younger sister of Bhagwan Shri Krishna, worshipped by all. She resides on the Vindhya mountains and enhances their beauty. The rishis asked, Sudji, who is this Vindhyachal? Why did he spread himself over the sky and mischievously try to stop the movement of the sun? Why was it Agastyaji who prevented him? Kindly tell us all these things. Sudji says, O Rishis, of all the mountains, Vindhyachal was the greatest. It was covered with dense forests. The trees were tall and stately, and flowering creepers and vines formed a canopy. The forests were alive with deer, boar, buffalo, tiger, lion, monkeys, rabbit, bear, and jackal, all healthy and lively, and roaming from one end of the forest to the other. Big and small rivers flowed from all sides. Devatas, Gandharvas, Kinnars, Apsaras, and others enjoyed the delicious fruits of that forest. It happened once that Dev Rishi Naradji, on his way to the earth, made a stop at this most perfect Vindhyachal mountain. Upon seeing him, the wise Vindhyachal went to receive him with due protocols. He offered Naradji a special seat and ceremonial water for sipping and washing of feet. Once the Rishi was seated, Parvatraj spoke. Vindhyachal said, Dev Rishi, from where are you coming? When your feet touch my kingdom, we get the same auspiciousness and blessings that the earth gets when the sun perambulates it. Naradji, tell me all that is on your mind. Naradji said, Parvatraj, I have just been to Sumeru Giri. I visited the domains of Indra, Agni, Yama and Varun. I saw the countless bhavans, abodes of all the Lokpals. I also met Devatas who served all kinds of delicacies. After that, Naradji paid glowing tributes to Himalaya and Sumeru. Hearing these praises, Vindhya began to feel envious. Sutji says, Rishis, Narad departed for Brahmalok, but there was turmoil in the mind of Vindhya. Jealousy and envy gave rise to sinful thoughts. His mind began to plan devious acts. He thought, this Surya together with his solar system of planets and stars revolves around Sumeru Parvat, and this has given Sumeru superiority over all mountains. I will expand myself and block the path of the sun. Then we shall see how Surya does parikrama of Mount Sumeru. This will crush his pride. With this intention, Vindhya raised his summits and peaks and blocked all the routes of the sun. Then he waited for sunrise. Soon it became dawn, and the rays of the sun began to dispel the darkness. Udayachal, the mountain from behind which the sun rises, blushed with the first rays of the sun, and the sky began to turn pink. The lotuses began to bloom, and the Kumudini, water lilies, opened their petals. All living things went about their business. After traversing the pre-meridian, meridian and post-meridian domains of the various gods, so that they would receive the nourishments of Havya, Kavya and other oblations, the sun proceeded towards the south. Areas which had not yet received sunlight were suffering pangs of separation. But Surya could not proceed further. He discovered that due to some jealous competition against Sumeru, Vindhya Parvat was blocking his advance. The sun was in confusion but could not proceed. The functions of Swaha and Swadha, words uttered during offering of oblations to the gods and ancestors, were arrested due to the absence of sunrise. All life forms in the south and westerly directions were still in slumber, as it was a long, long night. On the other side, the living things in the north and east were having an excess of heat from the stationary sun. Some died in the heat, some lost their limbs, and others lost their senses. Doomsday came upon them suddenly and prematurely. The whole world was disturbed, and in the turmoil there were no offerings or oblations to the mains. Sutji says, O Rishis, the Devas were in great distress. Indra and all the gods took Brahmaji and their chief speaker and went for protection to Bhagwan Shankar. Then, taking Sri Shiva with them, they all went to Vaikunt, the abode of Bhagwan Vishnu. Sutji says, Rishis, the gods went into the presence of Lakshmikant, beloved of Lakshmi, Devadidev, God of gods, Bhagwan Sri Hari. The Lord, with eyes like lotus petals, was seated on his throne with Sri Mahalakshmi beside him. In voices trembling with awe and joy, the gods offered obeisance and sang stotras in praise of the Lord. The Devas said, Vishnu, Ramesh, victory be to you. You are the great primordial being and you are worshipped by all. You are the father of Kamdev. You quickly grant boons and Govind is one of your names. You have assumed the forms of Mahavaraha, the boar, and Mahayagya, the great sacrifice. O Mahavishnu, You are Dhruvesh, constancy, and the cause of the universe. Assuming the form of Matsya, fish, you protected the Vedas. O ocean of compassion, you fill the requirements of the Devatas. Praise be to you. In your second incarnation as the tortoise, you obtained the nectar. To destroy the demon Hiranyaksha, you took the form of a boar. Praise be to you. We also bow to that avatar of Narsimha, which you assumed to kill Hiranyakashipu. To destroy the ego of Rajabali, you came as a dwarf Vamana. We praise you again and again. You took birth from Renuka in the house of Muni Jamadagni. It is your nature to protect us from our enemies. You destroyed Kartavirya in your Parshuram avatar. We praise you again and again. We bow to Rama, son of Dasharatha, in whose form you came to destroy Ravana. The demons Kansa and Duryodhan were opposing Mother Earth. You took the majestic form of Bhagwan Sri Krishna and rid the world of these two enemies. We bow to that avatar. To put an end to the contemptible and despicable forms of animal sacrifice, you assumed the form of the Buddha. We bow to you and praise you. The world was deteriorating and sinking into filth and sin. To save them, you took the Kalki avatar. We bow to that almighty manifestation. You, in your great compassion, took these 10 incarnations to save mankind and destroy evil. Therefore, you are known as the remover of all afflictions. For the sake of your bhaktas, you have also assumed the form of a lady Mohini, a swan, and other animals. Is there another who is more compassionate than you? Thus, praising the Lord of all the gods, attired in Pitambar, the senior Devatas prostrated in Sashtang Pranam. Hearing these praises, the Lord, holding the mace, Bhagwan Purushottam was pleased. Expressing his pleasure, he spoke to the Devatas. Shri Bhagwan said, I am pleased with your stutis. Do not be distressed. I will remove all your sorrows and troubles. Devatas, you can ask for the rarest of boons and I shall grant them. Devatas, the person who recites this stuti upon waking every morning will develop devotion to me and I will protect him from all evil. Misfortune cannot come anywhere near him. No disease or calamity can befall him, and he can never be attacked by evil spirits or malevolent beings, nor can the planetary movements affect him. He will never suffer from gastric troubles, bile, or flame, and he will not have an untimely death. His progeny will live long. It is a universal, all-encompassing instrument for obtaining divine grace. For the person who recites this stotra, worldly happiness and mukti are guaranteed. Devatas, tell me your difficulties without any hesitation. I am here to remove all your sorrows. Hearing these divine assurances, the Devatas became very happy. They began to tell their fears to Sri Hari. The Devatas said, O Mahavishnu, you are the creator, the preserver, and the destroyer. At this moment, Vindhya Parvat is blocking the path of Surya. He has expanded himself so that the path of Surya is obstructed, and this is depriving us of our share of sacrifices. What shall we do? Bhagwan Srihari said, the mother of the universe, Sri Adi Shakti, has a strong devotee Agastya Muni. He alone can control the arrogance of Vindhya Parvat. At this moment, He is doing tapasya in Kashi, a place which is most auspicious. Go there and please the Muni and tell him your difficulties. Suji says, O Rishis, the Devatas humbly left for Kashi. On the Manikaran Ghat, they had a ritual bath in the holy Ganga. Then they approached the peaceful and serene ashram of Munivar Agastya. Seeing him in residence, the Devatas prostrated before him and began to sing his praises. The Devatas said, O Brahman, the twice born honor you as their Guru. You devoured the demon Vatapi. You manifested from a water pot. Praise be to you. You are the beloved of Lopamudra, the receptacle of all the knowledge which poured out of the gods Mitra and Varun. You are the fountain spring of the Shastras. We offer you our pranams. Upon your awakening, the waters of the rivers get purified and start gurgling. Be pleased to accept our homage. You are the cause of the blooming of flowers. You are dear to Sri Rama. You have matted locks and you are surrounded by your Sishyas. O great and powerful Agastyaji, accept our pranams. Mahamuni, all the Devatas sing your praises. Jai to you. O possessor of all good qualities, you are worthy of the highest respect. O Swami, be pleased with us. We have come for your protection. We are suffering due to the heat created by the insurmountable Vindhya Parvat. Hearing all the praises and greatly pleased, Agastya Muni smiled and spoke, Devatas, you are important beings and Lokpals, deities who protect different parts of the universe. You dispense rewards and punishment fairly. The god Indra is the one who presides over Amaravati. He bears the thunderbolt as his weapon and 8 siddhis reside in his court. And the Agni, who is the shining countenance of all, who consumes the Havya and Kavya oblations, who is also called Vaishvanar and Krishanu, should have no difficulty in overcoming this problem. Also, there should be no problem for Yama, who is the lord of the Rakshas Ganas, who has been appointed the witness and arbitrator of all the deeds of all living beings, and who holds the rod of chastisement in his hands. Therefore, O Devatas, if there is anything I can accomplish by my siddhis, tell me, O Devatas, and I will do my best. These words of Muni Agastya filled the Devatas with confidence and they began to speak. The Devatas said, O Maharishi, the Vindhya mountain has blocked the path of Surya and there is great distress and lamentation in the 3 worlds. All living things have become as if lifeless. O Muni, please use your powers and halt the advance of Vindhya Parvat. Agastyaji, your radiance and nobility will dissolve his ego. This is our prayer. Suji says, Rishis, to this prayer, the highest among realized souls, Agastyaji said, I will undertake your mission and complete it. The Devata's joy was boundless. With full faith in the promise given by the Muni, the Devatas returned to their respective abodes. Muni Agastya did feel sad to leave Kashi, but after taking darshan of Bhagwan Vishwanath, praying to Sri Bhairavnath and offering namaskar to Sri Sakshi Vinayak, he came out of Kashi. Sati Lopamudra was accompanying him. By his yogic powers, he was transported along with his wife in a few minutes. When he looked up, he saw that Vindhya Parvat had increased his height so much that he entangled the sky. When the mountain saw Muni Agastya, he began to tremble. His ego and arrogance melted, and with humility of the Prithvi, earth, he desired to salute the Muni. Overcome with devotion, he fell to the ground in obeisance and offered Sashtang Pranam to Muni Agastya. Seeing the mighty mountain Vindhya Parvat at his feet, the Muni smiled with benevolence. He said, "Vats, dear boy, keep lying like this until I return. Son, I am unable to climb your peak when you are upright." Then he turned southwards, climbed the mountain and continued in the same direction. On the way, he encountered the Srishail mountain. He built his ashram on this fragrant Malayachal, sandalwood producing mountain in southern India, south of Mysore, east of Travancore, and decided to live there permanently. On Vindhya mountain descended the Devi, who is universally known as Vindhya Vasini. Suji says, this story of annihilation of enemies is very sacred and powerful. It destroys all sins and fulfills desires of those who hear it. In the same way, Swayambhuv Manu worshipped the Devi and received the boon of ruling the world. I have now completed this story. Now, which other would you like to hear? Chapter 10, Episodes 8 and 9. Stories of the Manus, Swarochish, Uttam, Tamas, Raivat, and Chakshush. Shaunakji said, Sudji, in the same way, tell us about the other important Manus. Sudji says, after hearing about the first Manu Swayambhuv, Narada also asked Bhagwan Narayan to tell him about the other Manus. That great and knowledgeable Bhagwan knew all the secret knowledge of Devi Bhagawati. Narada said, O ancient one, please tell me about the Manus. Bhagwan Narayan said, Mahamuni, you have just heard the story of the first Manu Swayambhuv. He had two brilliant sons, Priyavrat and Uttanpad. Their sons were also famous. The son of Priyavrat was known as the second Manu. He performed severe tapasya on the banks of the Yamuna and lived on dry leaves. He was loved by all animals. His name was Swarochish. He made a lotus image of the Devi and worshipped her for 12 years. Then he got a darshan of the Devi, her face shining like 1,000 suns. Pleased with his worship and devotion, she granted him rulership of the world for an entire Manvantar, 14th part of a day of Brahma. From that time onwards, the whole world worshipped Bhagavati Jagaddatri and received her protection from enemies. This second Manu established dharmas in the world and protected his subjects like his children. After the end of his term, he went to heaven. The third Manu was Shriman Uttam, son of Priyavrat. He went to the banks of the Ganga and for 3 years he did penance and worshipped Bhagavati Bhuvaneshwari. He sang stotras and uttered mantras and pleased Shri Devi. As a boon, he received unhindered rule and long life for his sons. The fourth Manu was called as Tamas, son of Priyavrat. He meditated on Bhagavati Jagdamba on the southern banks of the river Narmada. He uttered the seed mantra of Bhagavati Maheshwari and worshipped her during the Ashwin and Chaitra Navratras. He also received the boon of unhindered rule and was blessed with 10 brave and noble sons. Raivat is the fifth Manu. He was the younger brother of Tamas. He did tapasya on the banks of the Yamuna. He ruled his kingdom without obstacles. He established dharma and protected the subjects. Bhagwan Narayan says, Narad, now I will tell you a most amazing story of the greatness of Bhagavati Jagadamba. Listen carefully. The eldest son of Raja Ang was Chakshush. He was the sixth Manu. He went and surrendered himself at the feet of Brahma Rishi Shriman Pulhaji and said, Swami, please accept me as your disciple and teach me how to attain Shri. Also, how to obtain overlordship of the world, great physical strength and military prowess. My children should have long life, my own life should be free of obstacles, and I should go to heaven after death. The Muni taught him the highest form of worship of the Devi. The Muni Pulaha said, Rajan, hear these words of mine which are most pleasing to the ear. Worship Bhagavati Jagdamba and all your desires will be fulfilled. Chakshush Manu asked, Muni, what is the form of worship and which is the holiest way to perform it? Please tell me. Muni said, this is a most ancient procedure. The seed mantra, bija, of Saraswati has to be uttered morning, noon and at dusk. This gives liberation as no other mantra can give. Even the gods got their energy by reciting this mantra. Chakshush went to the banks of the river Virja to start his tapasya. He continuously recited the Saraswati Bija mantra. For the first year, he lived on leaves and berries, the second year only on water, and the third year only on air. Gradually, he got inner enlightenment and realization that worship of the Devi is the only purpose of one's life. He continued in this way for 12 years. Then the most supreme Devi, Parameshwari Bhagavati Jagdamba, appeared before him in a rarest and most difficult to behold darshan. Her radiance was binding and her beauty most enchanting. She spoke to him in the sweetest tones. Sri Devi said, whatever desires you have in your mind, tell them all to me. Because I am pleased with your tapasya, I will grant them to you. Chakshush Manu said, Dev Deveshi, Dev Pujita, you reside within us as Antaryami Swarupini, and therefore you already know my desires. But now that I am blessed by your presence, I pray that the world be my kingdom. Sri Devi said, Rajendra, I have already given you rule over this era. You will also beget many illustrious sons. Your reign will be without obstacles, and after your death, you will come into my abode. That is certain. After this, the Devi removed herself from his side. He became the sixth Manu, and he had many strong sons who were devotees of the Devi. He ruled unobstructed for many years and attained a place in the kingdom of the Devi. Chapter 10, Episodes 10 to 13. Story of the Manus, Vaivasvat, Savarni, Dakshsavarni, Merusavarni, Suryasavarni, Indrasavarni, Rudrasavarni and Vishnusavarni. The boon of Arundanav and his destruction by Bhramri Devi. Bhagwan Narayan says, Narad, the seventh Manu, was the famous Vaivasvat, who was also known as Shraddhadev. By the grace of Param Pujya Bhagavati, he had a successful rule. The eighth Manu was Savarni. In a previous birth, he had pleased the Devi by his tapasya and got the boon of ruling the world. He was a scholar and a great devotee of Bhagavati Jagdamba. Bhagwan Narayan says, Narad, now I will tell you about the last Manus. Vaivasvat had 6 illustrious sons. They sat on the banks of the Yamuna and meditated on Devi Bhagawati. They renounced food and lived only on air. Each made an image of the Devi and worshipped it continuously. They achieved a complete state of detachment and got enlightenment. Finally, they got self-realization. Then one day, they got a darshan of Bhagavati Jagadishwari. Her face shone like 1,000 suns. These princes immediately bowed in worship and began to sing stutis. The princess sang, O Maheshwari, you are the most supreme and universal goddess. You are the ocean of compassion. Praise be to you. Devi, you are always pleased with the Vani Bij mantra. You are the embodiment of Kleem, and this mantra attracts your love. O Mahamaya, Kameshwar is enchanted by you and Mahaprabhu is appeased by you. You are the doer and you are the enjoyer. Brahma, Vishnu and Shankar are verily your forms. This pleased the Devi and she spoke in benevolent tones. Sri Devi said, O princess who have undergone severe penance, you have attained enlightenment and all your sins have been cleansed. Ask for your most cherished desires and I will fulfill them. The princess said, O Devi, grant us unobstructed reign over the world, sons with long life, honor, glory, wealth, intelligence and victory. This is our desire. Sri Devi said, so it will be. Whatever you wish for will all be fulfilled. Bhagwan Narayan says, Narad, the princess sang praises of Bhramri Devi. After that, the Devi removed herself from their sight. After that, the princess ruled the world, begot illustrious sons, and enjoyed success, wealth, honor, and fame. In their next birth, they came as Savarni Manus, Daksh, Meru, Surya, Indra, Rudra, and Vishnu. These 14 Manus were famous and they worshipped Bhagavati Bhramri. Naradji asked, who is Bhramri Devi? How did she manifest and what is her form? Bhagwan, please tell me that story which removes all sorrow and fear. Bhagwan Narayan says, Narad, listen carefully to this narration which has the power to grant moksha. All stories of the Devi have been for the benevolence of the world. The Devi does for the world the same loving deeds that a mother does for her child. It happened long ago. There was a very powerful demon called Arun. He was an enemy of the Devas and he lived in Patal. It entered his mind that he should defeat the Devas and drive them out of heaven. So, he set out to do severe penance in the Himalayas in order to please Padmayoni Brahma. He calmed his attention, went into thoughtless awareness, and settled down in meditation. His intentions were tamasic. He remained in tapasya for 10,000 years, eating only leaves. Then for another 10,000 years, he lived on water. And for another 10,000 years, he lived on air. His penance was so severe that the fire that radiated from his body threatened to engulf the world. The Devas were overcome with fear and hastened to Brahmadeva to tell him. The four-armed god took his Shakti Gayatri Devi and set out on his vehicle, the swan. By this time, the thousands of nadis of Arun's body were filled with only life force. His stomach had dried and his whole body had shrunk. He was in deep meditation with his eyes closed. He was enveloped in a radiance like Agni. Brahmaji said, "Vats, ask me for whatever you wish." Arun was instantly calmed on hearing the sweet voice of Brahmadev. He opened his eyes and got a darshan of the lotus-eyed Brahmaji. Complete with the four Vedas, Brahmaji was seated on the swan with his Shakti Gayatri Devi. With rosary in one hand and water pot in another, he was chanting the Brahma Pranav Jap, the holy monosyllable Om. Arun stood in obeisance and expressed his desire, "May I never die." Brahmaji patiently explained to him, "Whatever is born in this world must die. This is an irreversible law. Therefore, you must ask for something else that I can grant." Arun said, "Then grant me this, that I will not die in war or by any weapon, nor at the hands of any man or woman, nor any living thing which has 2 legs or 4. Also, give me such overwhelming strength that I can defeat the Devas." Brahmaji immediately pronounced, "Tathastu, so be it," and left for Brahmalok. Arun gathered all the demons from Patal and sent a contingent to Amravati. While they were still confronting Indra, Arun arrived with a formidable army of demons and defeated the Devas. He took control of the areas governed by Surya, Chandrama, Yama, and Agni. All the displaced Devas ran to Kailash for the protection of Bhagwan Shankar. Knowing the boon that the demon had received from Brahmaji, the demon seemed invincible. All the gods were in a dilemma. Just then, they heard a heavenly voice. "Devatas, worship Bhagavati Bhuvaneshwari. Only she can solve your difficulty. If Dhanavraj Arun can be disengaged from the Gayatri mantra, a situation can be created where he can be destroyed." Hearing this clear and resounding heavenly voice, the Devatas felt protected. They invited Brihaspati and Indra prayed to him, "O Guru, only you can help us by going to Arun and somehow cause him to forsake Gayatri mantra. We will meditate on Bhagavati Parameshwari so that she will help you in your mission." The Devatas started their worship of Bhagavati Jambunadeshwari. They performed Devi Yagya and chanted the Maya Bija mantra. Brihaspati left for his meeting with Arun. When the demon saw him, he respectfully asked, "Muni, where have you landed from? What is the purpose of this visit? Tell me at once. I do not belong to your side. In fact, I am your enemy always." Brihaspati replied, "Danavendra, the Devi that we worship is indeed the same Devi that you also worship. That makes you one of us." Hearing these words of Brihaspati and coming under the illusion of Dev Maya, the demon proudly denounced and said, "All right, from this moment I give up Gayatri Mantra. In this way, he was disengaged and immediately he began to lose his luster. Having completed his mission, Brihaspatiji returned to Amaravati and gave the good tidings to Indra. All the devas began to sing the praises of Bhagavati Parameshwari. After a long time, at an auspicious moment, the most compassionate Bhagavati Jagdamba appeared. Her radiance was brighter than 1,000 suns and her beauty greater than countless Kamdevas. Her body was covered with precious unguents and she was dressed in shining robes. There was an exquisite necklace around her neck and her arms were decorated with precious ornaments. In her fists, she held a myriad variety of bumblebees. She also wore a garland of flowers, around which buzzed big black bees. She was surrounded with all variety of bees. The bees were singing Hreem, and the Devi was acknowledging this with a smile. The Devi was ornamented and decorated exactly as described in the Vedas: Sarvatmika, Sarvamayi, Sarvamangal Rupini, Sarvagya, Sarvajanani, Sarva, Sarveshwari and Shiva. Having been blessed with such a complete darshan, all the devas and devatas began to sing the stutis of Bhagavati Shiva. The god sang, O Mahavidye, you are the creator, preserver and destroyer. Namaskar to you, O Devi, whose eyes are like lotus petals. You are the support of the whole universe. Obeisance to you again and again. You are the embodiment of wisdom. Praise be to you again and again. You are constant and everlasting. Obeisance to you again and again. O Bhagavati Durge, you are doomed for enemies. You are the light and you are worshipped by the pure. Please accept our namaskar. O Mata Kalike, we worship you. You who are called Neel Saraswati, Ugra Tara and Mahogra, accept our obeisance. O Devi, who is called Tripura Sundari, obeisance to you again and again. Devi Pitambari, Namaste. Our obeisance to Devi Bhairavi, Matangi and Dhumavati. Chinnamastake, obeisance to you. Kshirsagar Kanyake, obeisance to you. Shakambari, Namastasye. Shive, our obeisance to you. Raktadantike, obeisance to you. Bhagavati Shive, you destroyed Shumbinishambha. By your hands, the play of Raktabij was cut short. You killed Vrittasur and Dhumralochan. You crushed Chandamunda. By your hand, many demons became fodder for Kal. O lotus-eyed goddess, you are Ganga, Sharada and Vijaya. Obeisance to you. You are the embodiment of compassion. Earth and fire are your forms. Namaskar to you. You are the Supreme Soul, Pranarupa, Maharupa, the Great Supreme Form and Bhutrupa of the form of time. We offer obeisance again and again. You who are the form of the universe, Vishwamurte, you are of the form of compassion, Dayamurte, obeisance to you again and again. O you who are of the form of the gods, of luster and brilliance and pure knowledge, we offer you namaskars. Mother, Gayatri, Varada, Savitri, Saraswati, Swaha, Swada and Dakshina, all these are your names. Namaskar to you. O you who reveal to the seekers the ultimate truth of the Vedas, by skillfully teaching them to discard untruth by not this, to your perceivable form we offer obeisance again and again. Because you manifested in a form surrounded by Bhramris, bumblebees, you are known by the name Bhramri Devi. We worship that form. O Ambike, we worship you above and below, from the front and the back, inside and without. O Devi, who reigns over Manipur Dweep, O Mahadevi, be pleased with us. O Jagadambike, you are the creator and ruler of unending crores of universes. O Jagannatha, obeisance to you. O Almighty Devi, victory to you. O most compassionate Bhagavati Bhuvaneshwari, victory to you. O Parameshwari, be pleased with us. Creatrix of the world, shower your grace on us. Bhagwan Narayan says, Narad, the voices of the Devatas were sweet and loving. The goddess with a voice like a koel, cuckoo, spoke to them. Sri Devi said, Devatas, I am eternally pleased with you. It is my nature to grant boons. Ask me for whatever you desire. The Devatas told the Devi about their fears and described the devastation being caused in the three worlds by the demons. O Mother, the Devatas, Brahmins and Vedas are being persecuted. All the gods have been chased out of their stations. This demon has received a unique boon from Sri Brahmadeva. The goddess opened her fists and released a great variety of bees. Many more flew out from around her. The skies were filled with bees and the whole place became dark. The skies, the forests, the mountains and hills were all filled with bees. It was an astounding sight. The bees began to sting the demons and bore holes into them as if they were digging for honey. In that situation, weapons and prowess were futile. Nor could there be a war nor negotiations. The demons faced certain death wherever they were and in whatever form they were. They could not even contact or communicate with each other. Death was so sudden. In a moment, the entire demon clan was destroyed. Then all the bees returned to the Devi and all the Devatas rejoiced and shouted victory slogans. For the master of illusion, this was just a play. Brahma, Vishnu, Shankar and all the gods bathed in the ocean of joy and sang stutis. They performed elaborate pujas to honor the Devi. They showered petals on the Devi and the skies resounded with music and drums. The great Munis recited the Vedas. The Gandharvas, divine musicians, played on mridangam, muraj, kettle drum, veena, dhak, war trumpet, damru, bell and conch. Bhagavati Mahadevi was pleased and gave the Devatas a boon of staunch and unshakable bhakti. Narad, I have told you the complete story of Devi Bhagavati Bhramri. Those who read or hear it get liberation from all their sins. This is truly an amazing incident. It helps the listener to cross the ocean of illusion and grants auspiciousness and benevolence. After getting cleansed, he attains a place at the lotus feet of Bhagavati. End of chapter 10.
The Holy Recital of Srimad Devi Bhagavat.
Jai Shri Mataji.